Okay, so guys, today we are going to take the notes we have learned from our classmates and we're going to turn it into an interactive timeline. Okay, so everyone should be on the Chinese timeline right now, and everyone should also have up, this is called Google Drawing. In order to access it, you just go down to number 1 here. I attached a link and you should have access to Google Drawing. And the great thing about Google products is that it saves automatically in your drive. So if you're not sure where this is saving, it is automatically saving in your drive. Okay, so first off, we need to make a timeline. Okay, so I asked you to place the following Chinese dynasties in chronological order on a timeline using Google Drawing. So that's our first step. So what we're going to do is you're going to go to Google Drawing. You're going to give it a title, Chinese timeline. Okay, you are going to click Insert. You're going to go down to Shape, Arrows, and then the back and forth arrow, right? Because this wasn't the beginning of time, nor was it the end of time. So you're going to click here. You're going to make the arrow just a little bigger so we can actually write on the arrow, and good. Okay, so there is our timeline. Now we have 9 points, 9 dynasties to display on this timeline. So let's start with just 9 lines. So I just was going to do this. And what I'm going to do in order to make sure this line is exactly the same length every time, you make the line, you right click. In a second. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. So anything you don't want to do, you just click undo. But on this line, I'm going to right click copy, and I'm going to click paste. I'm going to click paste again. I'm going to do that 8 more times so that I have 9 lines. And they're all the same length, right? You're not having different length lines. They should all be roughly the same length. So you're going to go out and you're going to, hopefully as best as you can, try to spread these pins out evenly. Again, as best as you can. As you can see that red line on the bottom, that's making sure that I am even with following lines. It's good. Okay. So that's good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need 3 more. So you just go here. 1, 2, 3. I go here. 1. That may almost be perfect. This is going to be a little crunched. But that's okay. Not that big of a deal. I understand if you're like a perfectionist, you can try to move them. Probably would be best to start on the left side. I would actually recommend it. But really not that big of a deal if you just have to move them just a little bit. Again, if there's not perfect, guys, really not that big of a deal. Okay, so you should make sure we have our timeline. You have 9 points. All right. So that's good enough for me right now. And so what you're going to do is you're going to label these dynasties on the timeline. Now, these are actually in order. I helped you out there. But you have to do a few things other than just inserting these dynasties. Okay, so if you look at number 3, this is the information you need to include for each date. So you need to have the start to end date on each dynasty, 1 historical fact, 1 emperor, 2 inventions, and at least a picture of the dynasty. And guess where you're going to get this information from? The class notes you took from your classmates. However, I understand maybe not every group was as detailed as they should have been, so I gave you the encyclopedia websites again in case you have to look up any of this information. So I ask you to create a text box. You go back to the timeline, you go to insert, you go to text box. And again, guys, with timelines, and I would assume many of you are aware, when you do boxes, it's really good to, the first one, this date, is going to go with this text box, right? This text box, which would be the Shang Dynasty. Okay, so you're going to put Shang Dynasty. And then underneath that, you're going to do the bullets. So we know exactly when it started. So 1600 to 1050 BC, right? And then below that is where you would put the one historical fact. And then below that, you'll have the emperor, right? Then below that, you'll have the two inventions. So inventions, and you press tab again, backspace tab, and then the last one's a picture. So you should have these little boxes 9 times, right, throughout this timeline. So your second box, you just go to insert, you go to text, it is going to be the one up here. And like I said, it goes in order. So Shane goes low, and then the Cho goes above, and then Chin goes low, and then Han goes above, and just keep flipping it back and forth. And if you guys actually want, I would recommend, instead of just a straight line, hold on here. So instead of just this straight line, which may not help you with where you're going, click on arrow. Nope, that didn't work. Click on arrow. There we go. And then you can just have like a down arrow facing the actual time. And so then you're like, oh, but Miss O'Brien. Oh, and then you click undo. How do I do this one? Okay, so you go back to this one, click copy, paste, and then you flip it. Right? You can flip it like that. And then you put this one here, and then boom, there you go. Okay, so it should be reversed every time. So just even making these lines is probably going to take you a while. Okay, so I would recommend not using this blank line. Use the line with the arrow so that you can be sure. All right, hold on. You don't want to do that because you already copied it. So you just, I gotta get. If you are like, oh, it's not letting me select, make sure you click onto the select where you get your cursor back. And you click paste, and then again, you just have to flip it. So that's just the one annoying part, is that you do have to flip it. But really not that big of a deal, okay? So you need to do that for all the pins. And then again, this is the one text box. The second one's going to be up here. The third one's going to be down here, and vice versa. Okay, over and over. And I would recommend giving each text box maybe a color so you can tell the differences if in case they get too close. So again, if this Cho Dynasty one, if I put this one up here, I'm going to give it a different color so that I know that the dynasty next to it is not going to be this dynasty. Okay, and then again, the arrow is pointing to the correct date. And if you want to, you can drag down the arrow even more so you're sure. And sometimes maybe your arrows, you're like, Miss O'Brien, I don't have any room like this one. Maybe you don't have any room. So what you do is you go to arrow and you get this like curved one. And you can even like, you just unclick and then you can, here you go. And you can like turn it. You gotta double click. So you can do something like that too. Okay. So this timeline should hopefully be almost complete by tomorrow. If you do not finish, it's not homework, but you will have the rest of the period tomorrow to finish. I do want to see some progress, quite a bit of progress on a lot of your timelines. If you don't even have the line and the different dates down, you're a little bit behind. Okay, so please make sure we are working well on this. I will be back in school today, so if you do need any help or have any questions, please let me know. Again, this is not homework. We will finish this on Wednesday. All right, guys, have a great day.